Hello, and welcome to TTB Studios. I am your host, Morgan. Today, I'll be going over all the parts that I've got here for my next build. I figured with the shortage of graphics cards and CPUs and heck, and power supplies even, I might as well get this thing rolling. And not only that, I was actually able to pretty much get the last of the parts needed to get this thing built. So I plan on doing quite a bit of case modding, as well as bringing some custom 3D printing into this build. I've got a few ideas, but those will be covered in my next announcement after we cover all these parts, but that'll be part of this video, so just hang on for that. Anyways, let's break down these parts. So we're going to start off with the CPU. I originally picked up a Ryzen 5 3600 for this build, but after accumulating more and more parts and kind of changing my vision for what I wanted to do with this overall build, I decided that that processor and original motherboard, which was a Gigabyte X570 Gaming X, just wasn't up for the build, I guess you could say. All the other parts really just were leagues and bounds above those parts, two parts I just mentioned. So I decided, you know, I probably won't get to do this very often in my life. Why not do it now? And I'm just gonna splurge. So I went ahead and splurged a little bit. You know, I bought a much better motherboard and much better CPU. So what did I go with? I went with a Ryzen 9 3950X. I bought this just after the 5000 series launched and they were unavailable. I decided I might as well pick one up now before these become unobtainium. But yeah, so I'm really excited to use this 3950X. You know, 16 core, 32 thread processor. I mean, that's a huge upgrade from my current rig, which has a Ryzen 7 2700. So I should really see a lot of improvement in pretty much anything and everything I do over there. Well, I thought about talking about the motherboard, but let's not ignore this elephant in the room here. This is a special 50th anniversary edition AMD 5700 XT that I was able to purchase on launch day. I've never installed it yet. There's a possibility this had the problems with the cooler that were found out over on Gamers Nexus channel. If you haven't heard about that, I'll go ahead and link that down in the description. I shouldn't have to worry about that because I don't plan on running this air-cooled. Here's my custom water-cooled block for it. This is an EK Vector Radiant RX 57 XT, and this is the special edition, the one that actually looks like the I haven't even opened this up yet. I have not even opened this up yet. Yeah, this one, that it looks just like the video card. On that note, I will be doing a full custom loop. This is my first custom loop water-cooled PC in at least 15 years. Yeah, I think the last one I did was probably 2005, 2006 era. But anyways, so I'm really looking forward to that as well. As I mentioned, I originally had a Gigabyte X570 Gaming X motherboard, but I decided to upgrade as that was like one of the lowest end components after buying all the water cooling parts and 3950X. I couldn't really justify throwing a $700+ CPU in a $160 motherboard. Just wouldn't look right. Plus, I don't even know if it would give me the proper cooling for the VRM if I was going to toss an overclock on that, right? So I went with this MSI Mag X570 Unify version, and this thing is sweet. I'm not big on RGB. I don't plan on using much in my case. I've finally decided on a theme for this build, so this motherboard is really going to fit that. I do plan on working in some custom AMD 50 logo gold foiling throughout the case, so this motherboard will be perfect for that, as I'll be able to accentuate the heat sinks and other parts on the build, as this thing is just all black. For my main drive, I'm pretty certain I'll be using this Corsair MP600. It's a 500 gigabyte NVMe Gen 4 X4. That'll give me room for pretty much doing anything as far as operating system goes. On top of that, I have plans on using this Asus Hyper M2 X16 card V2. I believe this is the Gen 3 X4 version, so I'll be able to put 4 NVMe drives in here, and my plan is to use this for my storage for when I'm working on videos and stuff like that. So I've got a much faster read writes and all that good stuff. Plus, I plan on doing some kind of case modding to this adapter card here, as I want it to fit in with the overall theme of my case. Oh, as I said, the Asus adapter card here takes 4 NVMe drives. My plan is to populate it with 4 WD Black SN750 500 gigabytes. That should give me plenty of room for working on a few videos over the course of a week or two, as I plan on having most of my video footage stored on my server or even on my other rig here as a backup. I also just picked up this Team Group T-Force Extreme Memory here. It's rated for 4133 megahertz, and the main reason why I got this, it really just matched my build. Plus, it looked like high quality heat sinks on here, so I tend to overclock pretty much everything I've got. So the heat sinks on this RAM should help me squeeze every bit of performance out of this memory. So let's see how that goes. On top of that, obviously the real elephant in the room, I guess you could say the size elephant in the room, would be this case here. It's actually the current case I'm using over at my desk right now. It's a Cooler Master Case Pro 5. I loved it so much I decided I had to have another one. Mainly just I wanted one to keep for testing, and I plan on doing some case modding, so this one won't be factory when I'm done with it, as I plan on cutting some holes, drilling some holes, paint it. You know, I'm going to do all kinds of neat stuff to this thing during the course of the next 2 to 3 months as I work on it. Yeah, I'm going to be doing all kinds of pretty cool stuff with this thing, as obviously I'm putting a full custom loop in it, and it's not a huge case. Plus, I plan on utilizing both 5 1/4 bays on this thing, so that's going to give me a bit of a challenge for routing and storing, you know, the pump and reservoir and, you know, all that good stuff. But I will make this work. Alright, so on top of that, here are a bunch of my water cooling parts. I've got an Alpha Cool Ice Block XPX CPU cooler here. I went with an Alpha Cool pump, I believe. Yeah, it's a Alpha Cool Lang DC 310. Alright. And then a bunch of gold fittings, and I got a flow meter and stuff here. I'll cover these more in detail in the next one of the next videos. Oh, that's that. Probably changed a lot. I had originally done a little diagram here, and I think it's going to change a little bit, because I originally planned for just a single radiator, but as I upgraded parts, you know, I decided, hey, 3950X and 5700XT are not going to do so well on just a single 280mm radiator. So let me cover those in just a minute. So, radiators I'll be using. I recently just picked up the last one. I picked up a few while back, kind of, like I said, because I changed the plans, I decided for routing purposes I needed a couple different types of radiators. I'm still considering picking up one more radiator for the build. It would kind of fit the theme of the build. I'm just not sure if I want to use a radiator on the intake or not. Let me know what you guys think about using radiators on the intakes of your computers. Also, on that note, I've been considering doing a reverse flow on my computer, since it's near the walkway and it tends to pick up a lot of dust. So I figured if I made the intake from the top and the back, which would be through radiators, then it can exhaust through the front, and it shouldn't pick up as much dust, and it would mean less maintenance. So I mean, if intake radiators are not a bad thing, then maybe I should go there. I'll have to do some research on that, but I really don't see the harm in it. Do you? Anyways, enough talk about that. So I went with, for the upper radiator, I'm going to use this Alpha Cool 280 millimeter by 30 millimeter cross flow, X flow they call it, I believe. Yep. But that way, what that means, it enters on one side and exits on the other. I needed the cross flow radiator to kind of fit the theme, as well as make up for lack of space, as I don't want the tubing crisscrossing all over the place. So I kind of imagined a certain flow with the tubes and the custom reservoir I plan on designing and 3D printing. So this is going to be a pretty epic build. The other radiator I currently have is another Alpha Cool. It's a Nexus XT45 140 millimeter by 45 millimeter. This will go on the back. I've been considering getting another one of these, or possibly a 120 millimeter size. I might as well get a 140 if I'm going to put something on the front there. The biggest thing is, what thickness do I get, and do I get a cross flow or a standard flow? So I'll have to figure that out. I'm guessing if I do put one on the front, it'll be a standard flow, and I'll mount it on the bottom down, so I can run the tubing down low and keep them kind of out of the way. But yeah, that is what's going on here. So I said I had another announcement, and let's do that now. The big news is I plan on streaming every Sunday starting March 7th at about 1 p.m. I plan on going over the parts of this build a bit more, unboxing everything, possibly doing some mocking up. We're definitely going to test fire all the parts for the build, and you know, we'll just have some fun. But anyways, oh yeah, you're probably wondering what's up with this stack of parts right here. This is what I've got planned for the next few weeks, as well as my build. I've got quite a few CPU coolers I've been stacking up on top of the other ones. These are all just recent purchases, but I've got quite a few I've been saving up over the years. Some higher end, lower end ones, some basic ones, some water cooling ones, you know, it's AIOs. Oh, and on top of that, here's a new toy here that I picked up recently, an EVGA XR1 external capture module. I'll be using this real soon. And I picked up this little toy as well. But anyways, I have to get my test bench set up a little better, and I'll be developing some type of test methodology so I can display some metrics for you guys when I'm testing my stuff, not just be like, oh hey, yeah, this is that and this is that. No, let's get some numbers. I don't plan on getting as thorough as Gamers Nexus or even Hardware Unboxed or whatever. But yeah, you know, I'm gonna have some fun with it and get some numbers while we're doing it. So other than the last couple weeks been a bit challenging, I've been struggling to get these edited. Really apologize for the lack of videos in the last couple weeks. I just wanted to get this out there, say hello to you guys, and let you all know that, you know, I'm still over here working on stuff, and I'll look for you guys on my live stream. I'll make sure to post up those links below. Thanks again. Y'all have a good night. I'll see you on the next one.